Okay. Gotcha. All right.
You only cut the black tips off of your nails because they were blending into your Well, she does this to me like every time I'll say something as well as that's so funny.
Okay, so
It's not like she knows it's not funny. It's funny to me.
all right, ready, girls? Ready?
I'm mad.
All right, last time, do you remember we did equations of circles?
Yes.
Okay, so today we're gonna do ellipses, and ellipse is just an oval. Okay, so it's like a fancy word for an oval. So an ellipse, if you'll draw yourself a little oval. Okay, we'll draw it here. Okay, it still has a center, but remember for a circle, it's the same distance all the way around the circle. Okay, for an ellipse, you're gonna have two different, instead of calling it a radius, you're gonna call it an axis. You're gonna have a horizontal axis, and then you're gonna have a vertical axis. Okay, but notice that because it's an oval, those distances don't match each other. Okay, so if you want to kind of think of it as a radius, you can. Okay, but it's called the horizontal axis and the vertical. Okay. So an ellipse says that it's an oval. We're going to fill in the blanks here. Okay, then it says with two distinct axis distances, the horizontal and the vertical. Now, out of those two, okay, the longer one you're going to call the major, and the shorter one you're going to call the minor. So the minor axis is going to be the shorter one, and the major is going to be the longer. Okay, so for the oval that we drew, obviously you can tell it's fatter than it is tall. So this would be your major, and this would be minor. Okay, but keep in mind that that could flip-flop. If it was taller than it is fat, then you would have the vertical would be your major and the horizontal would be your minor. Okay, so let's look at your equation and compare it to last time. Do you see that you still have the parentheses with the squared? That's just like circles. Okay, the number with x is the opposite of your x. The number with y is the opposite of your y. But instead of equals r squared, do you see this as a 1? And your axis distances are going to be on the bottom. So what I mean by that is, let's go ahead and take a look at your first graph. And actually, maybe let's do the second one so we have parentheses numbers. Okay, I have a -2 and a 3. What does that make my center based on what we learned last time? So -2 and 3, we're going to flip-flop those. What would it be? 2 and -3. Very good. Go ahead and place that on your grid. Okay, then the square root of the number under x is how long the horizontal axis is going to be. So do you see that you have a 49 here?
Yes.
Square root that. What is it? Okay, then my x distance is going to be 7. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then I'm going to find my y distance by square rooting the number under the y. So what's the number under the y? 25. Square root it. How long is that? Then my minor is going to be the y, which is, so then I'll count up and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can draw my oval. So there are some similarities with your circle. The center is going to show up the same way, but instead of the r squared being over here, because the r's are different, they're going to show up on the bottom of the fractions. So now let's do number 1 right next to it. Do you have any number with x or y? Then that means your center is going to, then your center is going to stay 0, 0. Okay. So remember, if your X or your Y is alone, that just means you're not shifting the center. So if I'm not shifting it at all, it would stay right here. Okay, what is the number under X? 36 square rooted 6. So I'm going to put that my X is a 6. Now notice that this time I'm placing it in the minor spot because which of these numbers is bigger, the X or the Y? The Y is bigger, that means the X is the minor. So I'm going to count 6 and 6. Then for my Y number, I see it's got an 81. That's the bigger number. Then my Y is my major, and the square root of that is 9. So it'd be 9 up, 9 down, and then draw your own. Good? All right, turn the page. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. What is your equation supposed to be equal to on the right-hand side? What number? 1. It's got to be a 1. So when you take a look at number 3, you'll notice that it's equal to 4. Okay, that's not going to work. We have to fix it. So to get rid of this 4, I'm going to have to divide. And if you're going to divide by 4, you have to do it all the way across, which means that I'm going to have a divide by 4 here and a divide by 4 here. If there's already a divided by number, you'll multiply that 4 with what was already there. So what I mean by that is the top of this is going to stay the same. X plus 1 squared, y minus 3 squared. Now it's a 1 on the other side. But what is this bottom going to be if it was already a 4 and now there's another 4 down there? 4 times 4 is 16. And then this had a 25 on the bottom, times it by 4. Now what is it? 100. Okay, so if you don't see an equals 1, you're going to have to fix it, then do all the same crap. So I'm looking for my center. Okay, here's my new equation now that it's solved properly. Okay, what's my center going to be? Negative 1, 3. And remember, those are the opposite of what's in the parentheses. So negative 1, 3 would put me here. Okay, out of my numbers, what's on the bottom of the X? What number? 16. Is that the bigger number or the smaller number? Smaller number, then my X is minor, and the square root of 16 is. So my X distance is going to be 4 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, my Y number is a 100. That's the bigger number. So my major is a Y. And then if I square root that 100, I see it's going to be 10. So I'm going to go down 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'll go up 10. That'll put me off the grid. So I'm just going to approximate where that would go. Okay. And there's your ellipse. Any questions on that? All right. Take a look at the pictures at the bottom. We're going to do 2 examples where we have the picture and you're writing the equation. Okay, you do have a couple like this on your adults math today. Am I good to take this off? We good? All right, Amari, will you put that up, please? All right, so first thing I want you to do is find your center. Okay, your center should be the same distance both directions on X, same distance on Y. So I'm going to approximate that I think it's right here. But remember, in order for me to check it, just count your boxes. So this way I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm good in the middle. Then I want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if they don't match on both sides, you're not really at the center. So I'm going to put that this is 7, this one is 4. Bless you. Okay, and you are going to have to count those boxes anyways. So I would start off by counting them to make sure you're truly in the center. What is the ordered pair for that center? 4, 1. Then when I write my equation, it's gonna be x minus 4 and y minus 1. Because remember, they have to be the opposite of the real numbers. They both get a squared, and there's a plus in the middle. What's it always equal to? 1. Okay, then all that I need to do is put my bottom numbers. And remember, the bottom numbers need to be what that axis distance is, but you have to remember to square it.
Oh, 49 and
Mm-hmm. Yep, and which one will go under the x, the 49 or the 16?
16.
16 is your horizontal, and then 49 is your vertical. Okay, very good. Do we need to do another one of those, or you got it? Okay. Last thing we have to do is take it from standard form and switch it to graphing form. So turn to the next page, please. Okay, so we're looking at this guy right here. Now, we did these last class. Okay, the one thing that you're gonna know, well, actually, let's just start off the same way, yes?
Jared said, tell her I'm not gonna be there today. I injured my other leg yesterday.
Okay. Thank
Should I say, she said thanks for letting you know, RIP.
you. Maybe without the RIP, but. All right, so take a look at number 9. First thing you're gonna do is group your like letters. So the 2x and the minus 16x are gonna stay together. Okay, the 50y squared and the 100y are gonna stay together. And then the 32 is already on the other side. Okay, but remember, sometimes they're not gonna already have them grouped. So your first step is to sort out, get your x's together, get your y's together, number on the other side. Okay, what you're gonna notice for these type of problems today, we're still gonna complete the square, but you cannot complete the square on an x squared or a y squared if there's a number on the front. So we're gonna have to take out a GCF. For the x's, what do they have in common? 2. Then I'm gonna divide the 2 out. So my GCF here, I can divide by 2. That gives me an x squared. And what happens to my 16 when I divide it by 2?
8.
8. Blank. Remember, just like last time, we know we're gonna complete the square. So we're gonna leave a blank for the x's. Okay, now take a look at the y's. I have a 50y squared and a 100y. What do I have to take out? 50. So my 50 is gonna come to the front. That's gonna leave me with the y squared plus 100 divided by 50 is a 2y. Don't forget your blank. Okay, then equals negative 32. From here, we're ready to complete the square. If I have a minus 8, how much of that can I take into the parentheses? Do you remember from last class? You're always cutting it in half. So it'd be 4. So you would drop this to an x minus 4 squared. And then do you remember what you fill in the blank with?
No.
You just find what 4 squared is. So what's 4 times 4? Put a plus 16 in the blank. Okay, and now if you remember last time when I added the 16 here, I also had to add it over here. Okay, but this time your 16 is in a parentheses with a what on the outside?
2.
2. So you need to make sure to multiply. That 16 is doubled. That means really I need to add a 32. Okay, and then keep your 2 here. All right, now let's do it for our y's. Remember, I can only take half of this middle guy. So if it's a plus 2y, what's going to go in my parentheses? Y plus 1. Then I'm going to find what 1 squared is, and I'm going to fill in the blank. 1 times 1 is plus 1, but I'm not going to add a 1 across, because what does the 1 have waiting for it on the outside? A 50. And 1 times 50 means I really need to add a 50 over here and add these 3 numbers.
So that's gonna be 50.
It will be a 50. Very good. Okay, now, what is my equation supposed to be equal to over here?
50.
What is it supposed to be equal to? A 1, right? The formula, this is supposed to be a 1. So then I got to divide by 50 all the way across. So 50 here, here, and here. So now this is an equals 1, just like I want it to be. What is 50 divided by 50 on the y's? Then my y plus 1 squared has a 1 on the bottom. And then for my x's, I have a 50 divided with a 2. What's my bottom number going to be for the x's? 25. So think about, you're still dividing, but it's kind of like you're dividing upside down. That you're taking the 50 and dividing it with the 2 on top from the front. And then for this one, 50 divided by 50 is 1. Okay, from there, where's your center?
4 negative 1.
4, negative 1. So that would be here. And then from there, I would square root those x's to know how much to go for x, how much to go for y. So if it's a 25, what's my x distance? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what's my y distance? Square root of 1 is 1. So up 1, down 1. Okay. Then you should also be able to tell me the major axis is horizontal because that's the longer one with a distance of 5. Your minor axis is vertical with a distance of. Questions on that? Perfect. We're going to do one more and then we're done.
Always one more.
Sorry. All right, let's take a look at number 10. Okay, last one. First thing that we're going to do is group our terms. Remember, the x's stay together. So I have an x squared and a minus 4x. My y's are going to stay together. That's a 4y squared plus 24y. And then where's the 24 go?
Yeah, that's
Okay, to the other side, it was a minus 24. Now it's a positive 24. Okay, remember, you're looking for GCFs among the x's and among the y's. Now, it has to be a number. So for my x's, do they have a number in common?
No.
Then I'm just going to leave it. Okay, if you want to think about you're taking out a 1, okay, fine. Okay, but that one doesn't really have a GCF. Remember, you only want to take out a number because you can't complete the square with a number in that spot. So don't take out an x, only if there's a number. Okay, for my y's, what can both of those divide by?
3.
4. So we're going to GCF and divide by 4. That's going to leave my y squared, which is what I need to complete the square. And then my 24y is going to drop to a what? 24y divided by 4 is going to turn into a 6y. Don't forget your blank. Equals 24. Now we're ready to complete the square. Remember, for complete the square, you can only take half of this middle number. So for my x's, what is it going to go with?
2.
Minus 2. And then what's 2 squared for me to fill in the blank with? 2 times 2 is 4. Will I actually add a 4 over here? Yes. Because there's not some secret number out here waiting on the outside, right? If there is, it's a 1, and 1 times 4 would stay a 4. Okay, for my y's, I need to take half of this 6. So how much would that be? Half of 6 is 3. And then I'm going to find 3 squared to fill in my gap. 3 times 3 is, am I going to really add a 9 across? No, I have to times it by the 4 that's waiting. 4 times 9 is 36. And then you're going to add up those 3 numbers to see what it equals.
64.
64 is correct. Okay, remember, for a circle, you can leave this as an r squared, but for an ellipse, it has to equal 1. So this number is going to get divided across the bottom to put it in graphing form. So divide the 64 here, here, and here. Okay, for my x minus 2 squared, it didn't already have a number in front, so it's going to stay the same. Just gonna write it down here. Okay, x minus 2 squared is going to stay over 64. But then this one had a 4 on top, then I gotta actually divide those. So if you have a calculator, what's 64 divided by 4? 16 is what's left over. And then equals 1. Okay. Then from here, you should be able to identify your center, graph your ellipse if you need to, determine which one's major and minor. Okay, but remember, it just has to do with those bottom numbers. In this case, which one's major? X or Y? X, because the bigger number. How long is its radius this way? Square root of 64 is 8. Up and down, what's the axis? 4, and that would be the minor. Make sense? Okay. All right, your homework's on Delta Math. Then next class, we review, then you test over circles and ellipses, and then you have no more new content in PreCal.
But we don't have to show up this time.
We'll review for this semester exam, but seniors don't have to take it.
All right, come here. Every review we've ever done.
Are you telling me to come here?
Yes, please.
Let me open your homework and then I
Yeah,
will.
every exam.
I'm looking probably for the one